Man, Rooster, it's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Do you know that show?
Woo! I'm Bishop.
I'm Rooster.
And the end is nigh. It's nigh.
It is here, just around the corner. Jesus, I mean, we've known that the end of the world was coming any day now, but now we have proof.
It's concrete, folks. It's an absolute certainty in mathematics and planning is happening.
Yep, we're not going to make it to 2040, guys.
Oh, maybe 2050.
Is that what it said, 2040 to 2050?
Yeah, it's kind of rough in the edges there.
Yeah.
But that's what. So there's a published study that was done by MIT back in the 70s that took a couple years to actually put together. Basically what it says is that it compiles all this information, in history and past history and what they, forecast like Nostradamus like in the future, right? But the reality is that what they actually predicted in this report is actually pretty on point. I mean, there's some leeway there and some time, a couple years here, a couple years there.
But overall, I mean, they predicted that these certain things had to happen, that these things were going to happen, and now 30 years, 40, 50? It's been 50 years since 1973. That's crazy. 50 years later, they're tracking all these markers and they're figuring out that, like, holy shit, like 70% of the shit they said had to happen has already happened.
Yep. That's, it's scary. It's really scary. And it's not just the U.S. It's the entirety of the world. Societal collapse.
Yeah.
Information is gone. Money's gone.
Resources.
Well, I don't know about because that's part of the triggering. That's part of the marker in the prediction. But decline in birth rates. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
And actually, we've talked about this a little bit, that the decline in the world birth rate is down. Mm-hmm. Right? And I just looked at it not even 2 days ago, and for 2020, the birth rate is down 4%.
From last year, or?
From last year. So it just keeps
just steadily going down.
Crashing.
We're all gonna die.
But at the same time, I'm like, hey, better traffic.
Right. Right? We'll be getting our shit for free, man.
You need a horse and buggy to go get it. But you can get it.
As long as you got guns. You don't need toilet paper or water. You just gotta go up to somebody who's got it and be like,
yeah, it's like...
That's mine now. Sorry.
What is that? Kind of off subject. It's like the bear and the rabbit joke. And the bear says, hey, look at the rabbit and says, hey, shit stick to your fur? And the rabbit says, no. Why, you? Bear reaches over and picks up the rabbit and wipes his ass. That's a resource. That's renewable.
That's renewable. That's funny.
It's kind of scary though. If you go on, and I'll put a link down in the description, but MIT did this study, and I think they started in like 1970, and then they worked on it for almost 3 years, and they released it in like 72, 73. Mm-hmm. And it's a pretty interesting read. If you've got some time and you want to go through, and there's an abbreviated, a shortened version of it, but to look at what they predicted and what's happening and what has happened over the last 40 plus years is pretty damn scary. And you look at, again, we've talked about math, mm-hmm. right? And there's a lot of math involved in that, right? And they
yeah, if I remember correctly, it was like a computer program or something that, I mean, not in the 70s, but I felt like it said that it was related to some computer algorithm that tracked it and said that all this was going to happen.
Well, so they took the original data science, in which they did use computers, but not in a computer that you would traditionally know. I mean,
exactly.
Literally, these computers back then had punch cards. They would literally like program shit with punch cards and floppy disks. Flopping. But as time went on and technology got better, they basically took the same model. And they started putting it in.
Okay.
And now the most current version is the same format, just with the latest technology. And it shows...
And it still tracks, yeah.
Yeah, and it shows that somewhere between 2040 and 2050, we're done.
It's going to end.
We're done. We're done. Something. But you know what I found really interesting in the report was, yeah, they talked about like the societal part of it, where all societies across the globe come crashing down, and money is no longer valid, and politics are no longer valid. And but what they didn't really talk about was the real implication of what that means for the average person, right? Because it doesn't mean that life's going to stop. It just means there is no more control on anything. There's no more commerce. There's not in the sense that everybody has been led up to believe, right? So the other portion that they really didn't like focus on was computers, like AI.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it wasn't in the study at all from 1970.
So how does that correlate? Right. Are we looking at the rise of the machines? You know, we're gonna have to go turn something off real quick. But your vacuum cleaner is gonna fuck you up.
I watched that Love, Death, and Robots, by the way, with the murderous vacuum cleaner. Season 2, episode 1.
It's awesome.
It was pretty funny. Awesome. I was dying.
Please hold.
Is your vacuum cleaner trying to murder you ruthlessly?
But they don't really talk about that. So, I mean, I'll be around for that. Well, hopefully. But, because I am old. But, I'll be around for that. To see that. Now, what does that look like? Does that mean that we're going back to, like, oil lanterns and, like, earth and houses because we have no communications? Right. Are we people actually going to have to use a pen and a piece of paper to write a fucking letter?
A what?
Get ink or get glue poisoning like in Seinfeld because you gotta lick your stamps.
You gotta lick so many stamps.
But what is that? They don't talk about that, and I'm wondering why they don't talk about that aspect of it. What is really the downturn? What is it our dependency on technology where technology then takes control and then restricts us from these things?
Right.
Or is it really a cataclysmic event? Right? Like, I understand you can have chaos and unruliness and all that. I mean, look at Portland. I mean, shit is on fire.
Fucking Oregon, yeah, I was going to say. Jesus Christ.
But what does that really look like? I mean, what would you think?
I feel like the biggest factor is going to just be, like you said, people have become dependent on the system. You go to the grocery store to get your food and you turn on your faucet to get your water. I think that's going to be the biggest impact is once like commerce dies down and there's not a way to pay people to do those necessary jobs, that is what's going to cause the chaos is people not being able to get water and food, and it'll still be, people will find ways to barter and things that have value and figure out a way around that, but just the raw resources because we have so many fucking people.
We do.
Way too many people.
What did we say it was? It was like almost 8 billion?
Yeah, what is it? Like 7.8 or something? 7.8 billion?
That's a lot of people.
And didn't they say by like 2050 it's going to be like 13 or something?
No. Or by when?
2050?
No. It actually drops below what it was.
I thought they said it like peaks at like 12.5 or something and then goes back down.
It dramatically, and I mean dramatically, falls off. I mean, it comes up to, because we're slowly getting to this apex point, and then all of a sudden, it's not a plateau. It goes straight down.
Wow.
I mean, within a decade, it goes straight down. So there's got to be, and I would expect that. If you can't use your electronics, you can't make a phone call, you can't do anything that you normally would be able to do. I mean, people are just going to die by the droves.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's for real, though.
And that's where I watched this really interesting interview with Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And he was talking about this, and he was like, we watched a decline in the arts. And a lot of people don't think that vocational skills are art, what it is. I mean, you look at the craftsmanship it takes. The table that we're sitting at right now, I'm sure was mass-produced. But if somebody had the skill set, they could still build this, right? But that's a lost art.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so over the years from like the 1970s, which is perfectly correlates to what we're dealing with,
right,
and how it really died out around, the mid to late 90s. I mean, high schools don't even offer home ec anymore, right? You don't even learn how to cook anymore.
Right.
And it's like, those are arts.
Right.
Right? And when you devalue that, you take away independence. Right? The knowledge is gone. Now, you have to be somebody that wants to actually learn these skill sets in trades. And that's why people that are in trades now get paid so well.
Because they're lacking people.
Right. And it's a knowledge set. It's the guys we're around all the time building hot rods. I mean, there's a ton of information that year after year we watch these old timers pass away, and you think about how much knowledge is lost. Yeah. It's just gone.
Right.
And it needs to be a real impactful point in somebody's life to go, hey, that's pretty cool. How'd you learn how to do that?
Right.
And usually when it's the old timers, they just tell you, I learned it on my own. And that's the type of people that you all need to pay attention to and learn those things if you really like it, because it looks like it's going to be needed.
But that's the problem. People's interest in these skills and stuff has faded. Like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, butchers. Yeah. Butchers are, you can't find a butcher anywhere.
No.
But it makes sense. I mean, I don't want to be a butcher. But if I'm making a lot of money being a butcher, then I would. But
if you fast forward in 20 years, and it's 2041, right? Shit is just hitting the fan. It's just hitting the fan.
There is a fly in the ointment. Shit has hit the fan, the line will speak.
I mean, the dumpster is on fire. Wouldn't you rather have some sort of rough knowledge in some sort of, particular trade?
Yeah. Right? I feel like I'd like to have a rough knowledge in all kinds of trades. So, carpentry and, butchery, I think would be very, very helpful in the end of the world scenario. Gardening.
Water purification.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, these are masonry, learning how to build things out of rocks.
Yeah.
Because if you can't get your hands on lumber all the time, guess what? You can mix some mud and put some rocks together.
Right.
Let's get Minecraft for real in this bitch.
Right.
But you got to understand, when you read this report, it's not really a scare tactic. I think what it is more than anything is it's kind of a wake-up call for everybody.
Yeah, trying to show people that
we continue on the path that we're going down.
Yeah.
It ain't going to end well.
It's not good, folks.
It's not going to work out.
It's no bueno.
There's no seatbelt in this car. And when you crash, your ass is flying right out of it.
Right out the windshield. Face plant.
You are gone, ejected. Do not pass go.
Yeah, I'm not excited. I don't know what I'm going to do. I feel like my house is a pretty good spot, but it's still too close to civilization. This is why I need to move into the middle of fucking nowhere. Where no one can know where I am, can reach me. I'm in complete solitude.
But you would have to have the skill set.
That's the thing. You gotta build up knowledge in tons of different areas to be able to self-sustain like that.
Right. And there's a lot of times where, yes, you could pull it off yourself. You'd be one tired bitch.
Right.
It's better to have people around you that have other skill sets and that everybody
specialized and
leverage off of one another, and that everybody has kind of and I don't want to say like a communal lifestyle, but hey, if you want this built, you got to go see Bob.
Right.
Or, hey, you want this done, you got to go see Steve.
Yeah.
Right? Or you want this done, you got to go see Rooster. Right? Those are the things where those types of communities, and then that knowledge is passed down and down again. The real question with all this, though, is human beings are resilient little cockroaches.
Yep.
Right? And let's say this does happen, right? So 30 years from now, 2051. Right? Shit has just hit the fan. And I mean, like, the world population is stabilized at something like 3 billion people.
Yeah,
right?
Jesus Christ.
Like, we really wound this back. Excuse me, beard.
Yeah, right? I just was like...
But what if we don't learn from our mistakes? Because we haven't yet.
Doesn't seem like we ever do. That's what I was going to say.
We haven't yet. We haven't yet. I mean, and throughout history, I mean, societies and empires and kingdoms and legacies have been built and then torn down, and then everything kind of chills for a little bit, and then the next
then
little
the
crazy
cycle restarts.
fucker comes along and wants to start some more shit. You're like, We just went through this 150 years ago. Please stop it.
Right.
So,
for real.
I don't know. What would you... you want to be in the middle of nowhere. I would want to be in the middle of nowhere, too. But the thing is it feasible in a scenario like that?
Getting there is the problem, but then, like, also once you're there, like you said, you have to have the skills to survive and build yourself the type of... So, no, I think you'd have to plan beforehand, obviously, and get yourself somewhat set up before the world catches on fire.
Catches on fire. Better have a big-ass hose.
Right? We're all going down, folks. It's kind of a gloomy episode topic, but...
It is interesting, though. It's an interesting thought exercise.
Yeah, right.
And like I said, I'll leave the link down below. Like, share, and subscribe. Send it out to all your friends. Have the discussion with your significant other or your friends, and ask what they would do. I think it's a real conversation, especially since the window is so narrow.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's not like 50 years ago where they were like, "Oh, well, this is going to happen."
Yeah, 200 years, we're fine.
No,
right.
Literally, if we were looking at a clock, it's ticking down.
Right.
It's ticking down.
Yep.
So we got to think about some of these things.
Yep.
But unless the next round's on you,
we gotta go.
Cheers.
That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to, that show.